Hello, friends. Let us have the lecture on research methodology, and here we are discussing Module 8, which is tools for data collection. So, the first thing is different types of data. So, there are basically mainly two types of data. The one is quantitative data. Now, what is quantitative data? The quantitative data is nothing but it's a numerical data. So, we'll have the data in terms of numbers. So it's measured statistically, like test scores. So that score is, say, suppose 85 out of 100. So that is a numerical data, like heights or weights or rating of survey, certain laboratory measurements. So these are all the quantitative data. Now here, in this type of numeral data, again, we have two types of data. One is discrete and another is continuous. So if the data is there, like there is a gap between the two numbers, suppose. So data that takes specific distinct values, that is countable, whole numbers, then those data are known as, say, discrete, like number of lab samples tested. So you say that it's like 25 lab samples tested. We cannot say that 25.5 lab samples tested. Okay. Like patient count in a clinical trial, like defect count in manufacturing of some nanoparticles. So these are all the whole numbers. Okay. So then those kind of data is known as, say, discrete quantitative data. There are certain kind of data which is not a whole number, but they are in some range. They are on, say, on a scale. Okay. So data that can take any value within some range, including, say, decimals. That means there is no gap. So those kind of data known as, say, continuous quantitative data. Like reaction time in physics experiment. So we can say that it is, say, 2.347 seconds. Like temperature of some chemical solution or mass in, say, some mass of some particle in spectroscopy. Those are the continuous quantitative data. So in our research, in a PhD research, say, if you have discrete kind of data, then to analyze statistically, the Poisson model is more suitable. And if it is continuous data, then it fits normal distribution. Then the second kind of data, the first is quantitative data. Now the second is nothing but the qualitative data. So the data which is not numeral, like descriptive data capturing qualities or opinions or experiences. So those are known as, say, qualitative data. Like we can give the example like interview responses. The experiment felt tedious due to repetitive steps. So there is no number associated with this data. Okay, like observation. Like students showed high engagement during group discussions. So that high engagement, okay, that is a quality. Some open-ended feedback also, that like lab equipments was user-friendly but outdated. So that user-friendly and outdated. So these are the qualities. So those are the data which are known as, say, qualitative data. Then there are again in data, primary data and the secondary data. So the primary data are those which are collected afresh and for the first time, and thus happen to be original in character, like our laboratory experiments. So these are primary data. The secondary data is like someone has collected the data and we are using that. That is known as secondary data. So the secondary data, on the other hand, are those which have already been collected by someone else, and which we are already been passing through the statistical process. So some journal data sets we are considering. Then those data are known as secondary data. So this is a table for the quantitative data and the qualitative data. So there is some quiz, like some MCQ kind of question you can read, and the red mark is the answer. So that is easy for you to consider these questions. Very easy. Now the next is collection of primary data. So we collect primary data during doing experiments in an experimental research. But in case we do research of the descriptive type and perform surveys, whether sample surveys or census surveys, then we can obtain primary data either through observation or through direct communication with respondents in one form or another, or through personal interviews also. So there are several methods of collecting the primary data, like observation method, interview method, through questionnaires, through schedules. Then, so there are other like warranty cards, distributor audits, pantry audits, consumer panels, using some mechanical devices, and so on. So let us discuss some of the methods for collection of primary data. So the one is the observation method. The observation method is the most used method, especially in studies relating to behavioral sciences. Observation becomes a scientific tool, and the method of data collection for the researcher, when it serves a formulated research purpose, is systematically planned and recorded, and is subjected to checks and control on validity and reliability. So basically, the observation method is nothing but we observe the things and we collect the data. Under the observation method, the information is sought by way of investigators on direct observation without asking from the respondent. For instance, in a study relating to consumer behavior, the investigator, instead of asking the brand of wristwatch used by the respondent, may himself look at the watch. So rather than asking which brand of wristwatch you are wearing, so better we just have a look at his wrist and see which brand of watch is there. There are certain advantages also. Like the main advantage of this method is that subjective bias is eliminated if observation is done accurately. Okay, so if we observe accurately, then we can easily observe the correct brand of that, say, watch. Secondly, the information obtained under this method relates to what is currently happening. So it is not complicated by either past or future. Third, this method is independent of respondents' willingness to respond and as such is relatively less demanding of active cooperation on the part of respondent. There are some limitations also. It is an expensive method. Second is the information provided by the method is very limited. And the third, sometimes unforeseen factors may interfere with the observational task. Then there are different kinds of this observation. One is structured observation. Now, structured observation is a systematic data collection method in research where researcher observe specific predefined behaviors, events, or phenomena using standardized protocols, checklists, checklists, or coding schemes to ensure objectivity, consistency, and replicability. Then another is unstructured observation. So it is a flexible, then qualitative data collection method in research where the observer records behaviors, events, or phenomena in natural setting without any predefined checklist. Now the next is participant observation is a qualitative research method where the researcher actively participates in a daily activities and social interaction of the group being studied. So that is called the participant observation. And non-participant observation is when a researcher watches people or events without joining in or talking to them. So the other people do not know about the person who is watching or observing some of the things. That is called non-participant observation. Like mechanical observation using machines and devices to automatically record data instead of people watching, like cameras, sensors. These are all these mechanical observation. So here also we have some questions. Please, you can just read and it is easy for you to answer. Now, the one is interview method. Another is a interview method. So the interview method of collecting data involves asking questions by talking, oral or verbal stimuli, and recording answers by talking back or oral or verbal responses. So this is a direct way of collecting data through conversation. Now the interview method are also like structured, unstructured kind of things. So structured interview is it's a personal interview, usually follow a fixed plan. So what they do, so use the same set of questions for everyone, record answers in a standard way. Like example, ask every PhD students how many experiments per week, rate the equipment from in a scale of 1 to 5. So we ask the same questions to everyone. Unstructured interviews, they don't follow any fixed plan. No pre-made question list. Talk freely like normal conversation and record answers in a different way. Like one of the example, tell me about your lab experience. Then follow-up question is whatever they say. The next is a focused interview. So in focus interview, interviewer asks about one specific experience and its effect. So interviewer can change question order and dig into reasons, but keep talk on topic. Then the next is clinical interview. In a clinical interview, they talk about deep feelings or life story. Interviewer decide how to ask questions freely. Then non-directive interview. So that is nothing but interviewer just listen. Respondent talk freely with almost no direct questions. So here in interviewer do not ask any question, but interviewer just listen. So here also there are some simple MCQ questions. You can see, read, and the read is the answer. Now the advantages of this interview method. So the main advantages is deeper information. Like interview allow gathering more detail than the questionnaires. So the example is given. You can read. Handles resistance. So skill interviewer can persuade reluctant respondent, ensuring a good sample. Like in example, if someone hesitate to discuss income, the interviewer builds rapport by starting with easy topic, getting nearly full participation from a diverse group. Then flexible questioning. So questions can be adjusted on the spot, especially in unstructured interviews. Like easy personal details. These are the advantages. So sensitive information is collected smoothly through conversation. Then better control over sample. Then select exact respondent. So interviewer chooses who answers. Group talks possible too. So here group talk is also possible. Matches language to respondent. So words are simplified to avoid confusion based on the education. Like for low literacy farmers, how much crop did you lose? So instead of that, you can ask like this, tell me about what harvest problems. There are some disadvantages. It's a very expensive because it add the travel cost, like surveying suppose say 500 villages across Gujarat. So that needs many things. Hard to reach VIP, then takes too much time also, and need good rapport because everyone is not ready to give the interview. Now we need to take care of some of the things in interview method, like pick and train right people. So interviewers should be very honest, hardworking, and need to give proper training. Then create trust also. So make respondent comfortable with friendly talk. Then ask smart questions. So ask clearly, listen well, answer their doubts, stay unbiased. So those kind of things, virtues required. Record everything. Write down responses exactly as said, completely. Don't miss or change anything. And keep interview on track because sometimes in interview, the interviewer goes out of the track. Then there are another way also that is telephone interview. So this method of collecting information consists in contacting respondents on telephone. So it's not a very widely used method because we know that on telephone interview, we are also not easily available or we are reluctant or we even sometimes not ready to give the telephone interview. But there are some advantages like it is more flexible, it is very fast, it is cheaper also, easy to call again, and higher response rate. Some disadvantage also, that is no time to think because it's a very quick call, so very less time to think. Only phone owners can give that interview and not for detailed study. Telephone interview is not for any detailed study. And there are interviewer biases also. There are some report questions of this also interview method. Thank you. We'll prepare the next video.